Chapter 3807. It turned out that she pretended that nothing had happened, as if she had forgotten about him and no longer liked him. She just didn't want others to see it. In fact, the girl who had always liked to chase after him had secretly hidden him in her heart. After confirming this matter, Jiang Wenjing sighed in his heart and felt a little touched. After all, not many people could do this. It must be because she liked him very much, right? Tang Gui didn't care that Jiang Wenjing was looking at her strangely. Anyway, when the results came out, the person who would be stabbed would not be her. When the time came, she wondered if Jiang Wenjing would be happy and in pain when he sacrificed himself for his true love. Dr. Yi, the Jiang family's relationship is really complicated. Are there so many coincidences in the rich and powerful? The Jiang family adopted an adopted daughter, and then the eldest son of the Jiang family married a commoner girl. Coincidentally, this commoner girl and the adopted daughter are twins. This is other people's family matter. Don't talk about it. Yi Lian looked serious and didn't care about the Jiang family situation at all. If Jiang Lin wasn't his patient, he wouldn't be interested in listening to this. Speaking of Jiang Lin, this patient was indeed a little annoying. The last time she fainted, it was just an act. Jiang Lin's physical condition wasn't that bad. After so many days, he could see that Jiang Lin seemed to want her twin sister to give her a part of her liver. Previously, because they didn't match, he didn't miss it. Jiang Lin looked very unwilling. So, the doctor next to him was right. The rich and powerful were indeed very complicated. By the way, Dr. Yi, do you know who the beautiful lady who often comes to the hospital to see Jiang Lin is? Who is it? That beautiful Miss Tang suddenly appeared in Yi Lian's mind. He couldn't get her appearance out of his mind. The daughter of the Tang Corporation, and can be considered the only heir of the Tang Corporation. Although she hasn't taken charge yet, maybe grandfather Tang thinks she's too young, but it's definitely something that will happen sooner or later. A doctor whispered, "Do you know why Miss Tang is willing to do the match?" Yi Lian couldn't help but turn around and look at the most gossipy doctor in their department. Why? He wasn't a gossipy person, but he didn't know why he wanted to know about Miss Tang. After asking, the other party did not answer for a long time. Yi Lian looked up and saw the other party looking at him strangely. Yi Lian asked again, "What's wrong?" "Nothing much. I just didn't expect Dr. Yi to be like this sometimes. I thought you weren't interested in the secrets of the rich. It turns out that people are all the same. Okay, I'll tell you. The reason why Miss Tang is willing to do the matching is probably because of Jiang Wenjing." Jiang Wenjing? Isn't Jiang Wenjing married? His wife is Jiang Lin's sister. Yi Lian said. That's because Dr. Yi doesn't know about the entanglement between Miss Tang and Jiang Wenjing. It said that they were once engaged, but it seems that Jiang Wenjing didn't like Miss Tang very much, so the engagement was cancelled in the end. After all, the engagement was set by the elders. If the younger generation didn't like it, there was no way to force it. But Miss Tang has always liked Jiang Wenjing since she was a student. I heard that there are countless people pursuing her, but she only has Jiang Wenjing in her eyes. Even if he's married and she doesn't pester him anymore, how can you easily forget the person you like? Chapter 3808. Otherwise, why do you think she came to see Jiang Lin and did the matching? It's all because of Jiang Wenjing. She knows that Jiang Wenjing cares about Jiang Lin, so she loves her sister. Really? Hearing this, Yi Lian didn't quite believe it. He always felt that things were not that simple. According to the contact in the past few days, he really didn't see that Miss Tang liked Jiang Wenjing. Would a woman like that look in her eyes when she liked a man? Mrs. Jiang, on the other hand, liked Jiang Wenjing very much. The way she looked at Jiang Wenjing was like looking at the sky, and her eyes were full of care. As for Miss Tang, he always felt that the look in her eyes was very strange. Yi Lian didn't understand, so he simply didn't think about it and said casually, "The results of the matching will be out tomorrow, right?" "Yes, by the way, it said that Jiang Wenjing spent a lot of money to let the company's employees do the matching for Jiang Lin. Even if it doesn't work, he will give money. As long as it works and you are willing to donate a part of your liver, he will give you a villa and 1 million in cash. He's really generous, even I want to give it a try." Yi Lian sneered, "That's all you have? Think about your profession and do something practical, don't think about selling your body. The medical school spent so many resources to train you for so many years, and this is what they gave you. Is your brain filled with tofu dregs? I'm just saying. I know that the cost of doing this is too high. Anyway, I'm also a top student. After so many years of study, I will shine in this industry in the future, and I will never sell my body. I will use my own skills to get the money I deserve." Yi Lian. Did this guy enter the wrong industry? However, I still think that Miss Tang is a person who is infatuated with me. If there was a girl like her who was infatuated with me since childhood, I promise that I won't be able to control myself and will marry her. She's beautiful, rich, and nice. You're dreaming. She won't like someone like you. Yi Lian ruthlessly broke someone's fantasy. Why are you dreaming in broad daylight? It's better to think about the case in your hand and read more books. That's right, why would she like me? I'm not as rich as Jiang Wenjing, and I'm not as handsome as him. However, Dr. Yi, you might be able to. I saw that Miss Tang was very kind to you. Judging from this, you're even more handsome than Jiang Wenjing. I'll go check on Jiang Lin." Yi Lian quickly stood up and walked towards the ward. He pushed open the door of the ward. As expected, Tang Guo was in the ward again. Seeing that Yi Lian had arrived, he quickly stood up. "Dr. Yi, you are really responsible." "System, that's right. She's been coming to the ward from time to time. I'm not sure if it's to see Jiang Lin or something else." Yi Lian nodded lightly and asked about Jiang Lin's situation. Since he was already here, he had to ask. Although Jiang Lin's condition had always been good, she was still a patient after all. Her body was definitely not as healthy as a normal person's, so he had to be more careful. After the inspection, Yi Lian left again. Although he did not talk much with Tang Guo, he did feel much better. He did not know how he got this problem. Recently, whenever he panicked, he would come here to take a look. After that, he would be fine. "Jiang Lin, you don't have to worry. So many people have gone for the matching before. There will definitely be a match. Sister Xiaoguo, thank you so much. I don't know what to say." Jiang Lin thanked him on the surface, but in fact, she was a little proud. Even if Tang Guo made such a sacrifice, Jiang Wenjing did not seem to treat her differently. Therefore, Jiang Wenjing's heart could only be grasped by her palm. "Sister Xiaoguo, I heard that the results will be out tomorrow." Jiang Lin saw Tang Guo nodding. "I'm still a little nervous." "Don't worry, we will definitely find a match." "Don't worry." Tang Guo smiled. "Don't worry, I won't let you down." Chapter 3809. Miss Tang, will there be a match today? Early in the morning, Jing Anan came to the hospital to wait. What she didn't expect was that Tang Guo had arrived earlier than her. She had the same thought as Jiang Lin. Could it be that Miss Tang still liked Jiang Wenjing very much? Was that why she wanted to match Jiang Wenjing? If they were a match and Miss Tang helped Lin Lin, then she owed Miss Tang a lot. She didn't know how to repay her kindness. There must be. Don't think too much. Dr. Yi. Tanghua saw Yi Lian walking over and asked with a smile, "Dr. Yi, you're really responsible. It's not even 9 o'clock and you're already waiting here. No matter what kind of patients they are, they're very lucky to meet Dr. Yi." Yi Lian glanced at Tanghua. His heart was beating fast, but his expression was very serious. He said seriously, "Anyone who meets me is not very lucky. The luckiest thing is that they don't get sick. The luckiest thing is that they will never enter this place." After saying that, Yi Lian quickly looked at Tanghua's expression. He felt that his words were a bit harsh. Although what he said was true, it didn't seem good to undermine her like this. However, Tanghua didn't seem to be angry at all. She said, "Yes, Dr. Yi is really good at talking. I was wrong." "Actually, you're not wrong. In this world, no one can guarantee that they won't get sick. But I can guarantee that I will do my best to treat the patients in my hands." Yi Lian felt that he didn't seem so panicked after saying that. It was really strange. Why was it that whenever he met this Miss Tang, he had to think twice before saying anything? It was about Jiang Lin. Jiang Wenjing arranged the company's affairs and quickly came to the hospital. Now when he saw Tanghua, he didn't feel as uncomfortable as before. In fact, he was still thinking in his heart. If Tanghua was a match, would she really be willing to give Lin Lin a liver? However, when he thought that she had already mentioned the match, she was most likely willing. Therefore, he looked at Tanghua with more and more complicated eyes. "Sheng, I'm so nervous. I don't know if there is a match this time." Jing Anan leaned into Jiang Wenjing's arms. Jiang Wenjing himself didn't realize that he didn't dislike Jing Anan at all. Therefore, Jiang Wenjing should have had some feelings for Jing Anan at some point. In fact, Jing Anan was a good girl, but she was not scheming and was easily deceived. She was just a little naive and sweet. When she treated someone well, it was definitely the most sincere kind of kindness. Seeing that she did not hesitate to exchange her liver for her younger sister, he knew it. Until the matching doctor appeared, everyone's eyes were on each other. Especially Jiang Wenjing. If he hadn't tried his best to control himself, he would have grabbed the doctor's collar and asked if the match was successful. "Doctor, how is it? Is there a match for Lin Lin?" Jing Anan couldn't take it anymore. Jiang Lin had been sick for a long time. If they waited any longer and couldn't find a suitable candidate, her life would be in danger. How could she not be anxious when she was about to miss the best surgery period? At this moment, Yi Lian could not help but look at Tanghua's face. He saw that she was still maintaining a dangerous smile, but he could not figure out what she was thinking. Was she really not afraid that if the match was successful, she would end up lying on the operating table in the end? Donating a part of her liver to others. Although the liver had the ability to regenerate, it was an important part of the human body and would more or less have some impact. In particular, this was a major operation. Did she really not care at all because of Jiang Wenjing? Chapter 38:10. No, he always felt that she didn't like Jiang Wenjing. She didn't see the slightest bit of love in Jiang Wenjing's eyes. Although she seemed to be very concerned about Jiang Lin's physical condition and her expression didn't reveal any flaws, he felt that it was very fake. Tanghua felt Yi Lian's gaze and looked up at him. Yi Lian quickly looked away. But in just a second, he couldn't help but look back at her again. At this time, she was no longer looking at him and her eyes fell on the doctor who was doing the matching. For some reason, he actually felt a little disappointed in his heart. After Jing Anan asked this question, Jiang Wenjing didn't say anything and kept his eyes on the doctor. Seeing everyone looking at him like this, a smile appeared on the doctor's face. Among the nearly 70 people, there's finally someone who matches Jiang Lin's type. Speaking of this, the doctor couldn't help but look at Jiang Wenjing and finally said, Jiang Wenjing, you and Jiang Lin are a match, so you can do the surgery. Finally, the others don't match." As soon as the doctor's words fell, everyone present was stunned. Then, their eyes fell on Jiang Wenjing. Jiang Wenjing was also obviously shocked. He didn't expect that among so many people, he was the only one who matched Jiang Lin's type. For a moment, his heart was very complicated and there was a trace of a strange feeling in it. "Jiang Wenjing, if there's no problem on your side, please think about it as soon as possible. Jiang Lin's illness can't be delayed any longer. If it's delayed, it's easy to miss the best time for the surgery. It's best if you can give an answer today." The doctor knew that Jiang Wenjing's identity was not simple. Once he agreed to do such a surgery, it would definitely have a certain impact on the company. However, in his opinion, human life was more important. Of course, whether he was willing or not, they, as doctors, couldn't force him. It was said that those people who matched the previous type were all found by Jiang Wenjing, and they were people from his company. It seemed that Jiang Wenjing was willing. After all, he doted on his sister so much. Jing Anan looked at Jiang Wenjing eagerly and held his hand tightly. She said happily, "Jing, you and Lin Lin are a match. Lin Lin can be saved. I didn't expect you to be so compatible with Jiang Lin. It seems like even God wants you to be siblings." Tang Gui added, "God must have seen your anxiousness and sincerity. Jiang Lin has been in a bad mood for the past few days. I've been worried that we might not be compatible. Now that she knows that your type matches hers, I don't know how happy she will be. By the way, when I came to see her this morning, I noticed that she wasn't in a good mood. Now, I'll go see Jiang Lin and tell her the good news." Tang Gui turned around and went to the ward. "You're Jiang Lin's brother, so I'm relieved that you're on her side." Yi Lian looked at Tang Gui's departing figure and felt very strange. Why did he feel that she was gloating instead of being happy? Did she know that Jiang Wenjing was a match? No, she was not a god. How could she know in advance? Moreover, Jiang Wenjing and Jiang Lin were not biological siblings. There was a great chance that they would not be a match. However, it was indeed very good news for the patient that they had a match. "I'll also go and see the patient's condition," Yi Lian said to Jiang Wenjing. "Jiang Lin's family, when can you confirm the time of the surgery? Jiang Lin can't be delayed any longer. It has to be done as soon as possible." After that, Jiang Lin didn't care about Jiang Wenjing anymore. She didn't see Jiang Wenjing's stiff body. Chapter 38:11. Jiang Lin. Tang Gui walked into the ward with a smile. When Jiang Lin saw Tang Gui's smile, she was overjoyed. Could it be that there was already a suitable match for her? "Sister Xiaogua, how did it go over there?" Jiang Lin quickly grabbed Tang Gui's hand and asked nervously. At first, she thought that with the Jiang family's resources, they would be able to find a suitable match for her quickly. After all, the Jiang family was not short of money. As long as there was a suitable match, they would even promise to compensate the other party. She heard that there were indeed people who came to do the matching, but she did not expect that after so long, they still could not find a match for her. Even her sister, who was related to her by blood, was not compatible with her. At this time, she was really panicking. Now that she heard Tang Gui say that there was a suitable match, how could she not be happy? After being happy, she started to guess who was the match for her. Seeing how happy Tang Gui was, could it be her? "Sister Xiaogua, who is the match for me?" Jiang Lin asked. She guessed that it was Tang Gui, but she could not say it directly. She could only ask for the details. If it was not, it would be a little awkward. Tang Gui paused for a moment. When Jiang Lin was a little anxious, she said, "Maybe it's fate, or maybe God saw that Jiang Wenjing could not bear to part with you, so it ended up like this. Among the dozens of people who went to do the matching last time, only one was a match. Sister Xiaogua, don't keep me in suspense. Hurry up and tell me who it is. This was related to her survival. Her illness could not wait. Now lying in the hospital bed every day, she felt uncomfortable all over. The vitality she had before was also gradually disappearing. This pain and weakness came from the body, and she could not pretend. At most, she could pretend to be more serious, but her body was really in pain. The feeling of being sick was really terrible. She was angry in her heart. Why was there a problem with her body? Why was Jing Ainin not a match for her? Why was she the only one who was in pain? Just how much did the heavens dislike her? Was it because she had been taken away by a wealthy couple and adopted as their daughter? After living the life of a wealthy young lady for so many years, she now had to exchange her healthy body for it. But what about Jing Ainin? She still married into a rich family. If she hadn't mentioned Jing Ainin to Jiang Wenjing, she wouldn't have had the chance to marry into the family. Sure enough, as long as Jing Ainin was around, she would never have a good life. She would always be the unlucky one. It's your brother, Jiang Wenjing. Tang Guo finally said the answer. Jiang Lin was stunned. Jiang Wenjing. How could it be Jiang Wenjing? They were not related by blood at all. The chances of a successful match should be very, very small. He had actually succeeded. Lin, are you all right? Jiang Wenjing loves you so much, so he should give you a part of his liver. Tang Guo comforted her. However, we might have to wait for him to settle the company's matters properly. Open and cesarean surgeries are all major surgeries, and there is a certain period of recovery. Jiang Lin's heart was actually not that touched. She just felt that this matter was a little too dreamy. After looking around, the person who matched her turned out to be Jiang Wenjing. Chapter 38:12. Previously, they had subconsciously skipped this step, thinking that since they were not related by blood, it was almost impossible for the match to succeed. They did not think of this step. Last time, when Tang Guo suggested a match for Jiang Wenjing, she did not expect that Jiang Wenjing would really match her. This was really unexpected, but it also made her sigh in relief. Brother Ah Zhang liked her so much, he must be willing to save her life, right? But this was such a big matter. Even if Jiang Wenjing was willing, would the Jiang couple be willing? The Jiang couple doted on her, but they could not surpass their precious son. This was such a big matter, they would definitely oppose it and tell Jiang Wenjing that the operation could wait. Not every surgery could wait. She really could not afford to wait for her life. If it continued to drag on, she would really die. She must think of a way to make the Jiang couple regret it too late. In front of her life, she did not care whether the Jiang couple would have any prejudice against her. As long as Jiang Wenjing's heart was always with her, the Jiang couple would be a thing of the past sooner or later. She was not going to marry Jiang Wenjing. If Jiang Wenjing agreed to the operation, it was only to save his seriously ill sister, so it was reasonable. Even if they hated her, it would only be a matter of time. After this matter was over, she would coax the Jiang couple and it would not be a big deal. I didn't expect it to be Brother Ah Zhang. Jiang Lin bit her lip and her eyes turned red. I'm really a burden. Not only did I get this disease, but now Brother Ah Zhang has to make such a big sacrifice. System, what a pure and beautiful white lotus flower. She hasn't even signed the agreement yet, but from your mouth, it's already a done deal. But will Mom and Dad agree? Jiang Lin caught a glimpse of the figure at the door of the ward because when Tang Guo came in, she deliberately did not close the door tightly, creating a chance for Jiang Lin to see the situation outside, and also created a chance for Jiang Wenjing to eavesdrop. At this time, Tang Guo was sitting with her back to the door of the ward, as if she did not know what was going on behind her. Jiang Lin was leaning against the door, looking straight ahead. In fact, from time to time, she would glance at the door from the corner of her eye. Coincidentally, Tang Guo blocked part of it, so if one did not look carefully, Jiang Lin's expression would not be seen. Jiang Wenjing had mixed feelings about this matter. If other people were compatible, he could give them a lot of material and money to satisfy them so that they could accept the surgery. When it came to him, his subconscious was still very resistant. Even the liver was the only organ in the human body that could regenerate. Even if a part of it was cut off, it could still grow back. However, who would be willing to go through a cesarean operation if there was nothing wrong? At the thought of being stabbed, he felt pain all over his body. However, now that the results were out and Tang Guo was so happy to tell Jiang Lin the results, he was afraid that he would hurt Jiang Lin's feelings if he refused. If Lin Lin knew that he was unwilling, she would be very sad. Lin Lin was a good girl. She was willing to stay by his side silently. She didn't care about any status at all. Now that she was seriously ill and was about to lose her life, if he still hesitated, he would be letting her down. From the moment the results came out, Jing Anan looked at Jiang Wenjing with a pitiful, almost pleading look. Chapter 38:13. She couldn't ask Jiang Wenjing to help Jiang Lin. After all, Jiang Wenjing didn't owe Jiang Lin anything. If she forced him to do that, it would be too much. But she believed that if Jiang Wenjing really cared about his sister, he would definitely save her. Jiang Wenjing was a little uncomfortable with Jing Anan's gaze, so he came to the ward to visit Jiang Lin. He didn't expect to hear Jiang Lin's words as soon as he came, and he felt even more guilty. Sister Xiaoguo, I really don't know what to do. I was adopted by my parents when I was very young, and I already owe the Jiang family a lot. If Brother Ajing sacrifices himself for me again, I'll feel very sad. Jiang Lin's face was full of pain, as if she was really suffering from this matter. I really can't hurt Brother Ajing anymore, so let's forget about this operation. The doctor said that I should be able to live for a while in this situation. I'll live one day at a time. I haven't found a suitable match for so long, and in the end, Brother Ajing's match was the one. This should be God's punishment for me. He must think that I've received too much, so he punished me in this way. Jiang Lin was already crying bitterly, and her voice was a little desperate. If Tang Guo hadn't known what kind of person Jiang Lin was from the plot, she might have really believed her words. Why let me suffer such pain and let Brother Ajing experience it again? It's enough for me to experience it alone. Jiang Wenjing was touched when he heard this outside. Indeed, he was the only one in Lin Lin's entire world. How could he not save Lin Lin in the face of such a person? Jiang Lin felt that she had said enough. Now, she had to make herself agitated. It would be best if she fainted. According to her current physical condition, it was indeed very easy for her to be agitated and have a great impact on her body. As long as she could survive, she would endure the pain in her body. She had to make Jiang Wenjing help her change a part of her liver. She didn't want to die. She just wanted to live. In this beautiful world, she hadn't even had enough of being the young lady of the Jiang family. Besides, Jing Anan was already married to Jiang Wenjing. How could she die? When she died, maybe the two of them would really become a couple. At that time, Jiang Wenjing would really treat the other as his substitute. For a dead person, it was meaningless. Jiang Lin cried bitterly. Tang Guo quickly passed her a tissue to stop her from crying. Jiang Lin felt that it was not enough, so she simply pulled out the needle on the back of her hand. Sister Xiaoguo, I want to be discharged. Since I'm not going to perform the surgery, why should I stay here? I want to find a place to spend my last days peacefully and die peacefully. I won't cause trouble for Dad, Mom, Brother Zheng, and Sister anymore. Tang Guo wanted to stop her, but Jiang Lin pushed her. In the end, he staggered and fell to the ground. Jiang Lin closed her eyes. She believed that Jiang Wenjing would be able to catch up. However, she did not expect that the ward was a little big, and the door was a little far from the bed. In just 2 seconds, Jiang Lin successfully fell to the ground. She was dizzy and her eyes were filled with stars. It was terrible. Perhaps it was too painful. She only felt a little uncomfortable, but she did not faint. However, even if she did not faint, she would have fainted. Chapter 38:14. Lin Lin. Jiang Wenjing shouted and quickly carried Jiang Lin to the bed. Jing Anan was also very anxious. Tang Guo quickly pressed the bedside bell and called the doctor. Yi Lian came quickly. Seeing the mess in the ward, he frowned. Jiang Lin's family, what's going on? How can you let the patient pull out the needle? Don't you know that it's not good for her body? When he saw Jiang Lin in such a sorry state, he hurriedly checked on her and found that Jiang Lin was still able to withstand the torment. There were no major problems. However, this time, she pretended to faint. He didn't understand what was going on. If the patient had a mental problem, he couldn't treat it because he wasn't a professional. If the surgery was over, he would be willing to remind her to go to the psychiatry department. The reason why Yi Lian didn't expose her was that he felt that Jiang Lin was occasionally a little crazy. As long as the other party didn't delay the treatment, they could do whatever they wanted. If he exposed her and made the patient emotional collapse, it wouldn't work. Dr. Yi, how's Lin Lin? Did you say something to agitate the patient again? Yi Lian's face was stern. He subconsciously looked at Tang Guo and found that she stood silently at the door. She didn't want to come in, so he looked away. I told you before that she's a patient now and can't be provoked. You can't scold the patient, but you can scold the family. Jiang Lin cried every day, Jing Anan was pitiful, and Jiang Wenjing was like an old man. Yi Lian shook his head. What a strange combination of rich and powerful. Oh right, and that Miss Tang. He didn't know if she was here to watch the show or to see the patient. It was very strange. Okay, there's no big problem. Next time, don't let the patient pull out the needle. Besides, since the results are out, think about when you can do the surgery. Yi Lian was more serious this time. She has been sick for a long time. If she doesn't do the surgery now, she will miss the best time for surgery. If it's delayed, I can't guarantee what will happen. Jiang Wenjing didn't hesitate at this time and quickly agreed, give me 3 days. I need to deal with the company's affairs. All right. Yi Lian's expression was much better now. He did not care what these patients and their family members were up to. As long as they did not interfere with his treatment, everything was fine. Couldn't they be more quiet like Miss Tang? Yi Lian reminded the two of them and left the ward. After taking 2 steps, he realized that something was wrong. He turned around and saw Tang Guo following behind him. Miss Tang, do you have any questions? By the way, why was the patient so agitated earlier? You should know the specific situation, right? Tang Guo nodded. I was by her bedside at that time. Of course, I knew what was going on. I don't think Miss Tang said anything that provoked the patient. Yi Lian wanted to ask if Jiang Lin had said something that triggered her, but on second thought, it shouldn't be. Jiang Lin had always been the most rational one in the hospital. Jiang Lin had always been nice to her, and according to her personality, it didn't seem like she would do something like that. It was Jiang Lin who wanted to leave the hospital because she didn't want Jiang Wenjing to be implicated. Her attitude now seems to be a little negative. I don't know if the follow-up treatment will bring trouble to Dr. Yi. Yi Lian felt strange. Jiang Lin's attitude was negative. Chapter 38:15. He did not feel the negative attitude of the patient. Jiang Lin was very serious about taking medicine and medication. She was more careful than anyone about her own condition, whether it was the nurse or him. It was as if she did not want to make any mistakes. Miss Tang said that she was negative with such an attitude. Yi Lian felt that his brain was not working properly. Perhaps this was how people from rich families thought. They were different from the average person. I see. I still need the family to comfort the patient. Yi Lian was not worried that Jiang Lin's negative attitude would affect the surgery. He did not see Jiang Lin who did not want to live. She was especially concerned about the match. Forget it. He could not understand the thoughts of rich people, and there was no need for him to understand. His mission was to treat the patient and restore her health. Dr. Yi, let's have lunch together. We can talk about Jiang Lin's surgery. You will be involved, right? Tang Guo's sudden words stunned Yi Lian. When he came back to his senses, he nodded. Of course. She is my patient. After the match is found, I will be the chief surgeon. Oh, I didn't expect Dr. Yi to be the chief surgeon at such a young age. I went to school early. Naturally, I graduated at a younger age than others. So, Dr. Yi must be a genius. Usually, people with high IQ not only go to school early, but also skip grades. I'm not a genius. I'm just slightly talented in medicine, Yi Lian said humbly. At the same time, he was a little confused, but he did not reject Tang Guo's conversation. He just felt that they were not that close. However, he felt that it was not a big deal to talk about the patient's condition. He thought about it silently. Is he busy today? Not really. I don't have many patients recently. He still had time to go out for lunch. After all, he was not a doctor in the emergency department. The people there were busy every day and almost did not have time for themselves. On his own work day, he did not dare to casually agree to have lunch with anyone. Then it settled. I don't have much to do today. I'll be in Jiang Lin's ward. I'll come out when it's time. Don't forget, Dr. Yi. Okay, Yi Lian said instinctively. Why don't you give me your contact number? After saying that, he felt that something was wrong, so he quickly said, I see that you're quite concerned about the patient. If you're in a hurry and don't have time to visit, you can contact me directly. Dr. Yi, you're so thoughtful. Alright, let's exchange numbers. Alright. After both parties saved their phone numbers, Tang Guo said again, why don't you add another social media account? You're a doctor, and you're so busy. If I keep calling and disturbing you, it'll affect your work. I'll send you a message, and you can reply when you're free. That seems to be true. Yi Lian didn't think that there was anything wrong until Tang Guo told him not to disturb him and went to Jiang Lin's ward. That was when he realized that something was wrong, but he couldn't figure out what it was. System, dear host, I suddenly thought of a saying. Some people seem cold and aloof, but in reality, they can't control themselves once you tease them. Tang Guo pursed her lips and smiled. What are you thinking about? I just want to know how Jiang Lin is doing. Yi Lian is the doctor in charge. If there's anything, it's best to ask him. Chapter 38:16. System, Lai to Tongzi. Dear host, I suddenly feel that this matter is a bit exciting. You see, Yi Lian is also the chief surgeon. When the time comes, he will personally help them change the liver. In other words, he will personally cut off Jiang Wenjing's flesh with a scalpel, the system said excitedly. Tang Guo interrupted, Tongzi, you're thinking the wrong way. Yi Lian is now a doctor. When Jiang Wenjing lies on the operating table, he will be the same as everyone else. As a doctor, as long as he is on the operating table, his attitude towards everyone is the same. So, it's not exciting at all. I think the most exciting thing is that Jiang Wenjing will personally cut off a part of his liver for his true love. For such a thing, don't bring Yi Lian into it. As for him, he should just do his job as a doctor. The system understood. I understand. Dear host, don't be so serious. When the time comes, there will be problems with Jiang Lin's kidney. Will Jiang Wenjing have to be cut again? Whether he will be cut or not depends on Jiang Lin's methods. As long as she can coax Jiang Wenjing to be cut, it will be the best. According to Jiang Lin's methods, she will most likely succeed. She just waited. When the Jiang couple knew that Jiang Wenjing was going to change a liver for Jiang Lin, they did not agree. They thought that this matter should wait a little longer. After all, they might find a suitable match later. Jiang Lin knew the personalities of the Jiang couple very well. Therefore, every time in front of Jiang Wenjing, she would act as if she didn't want to implicate him or leave him to fend for himself. As long as he was well, she would be satisfied. People have a rebellious mentality. The more Jiang Lin was like this, the more determined Jiang Wenjing was to save her. During this period, the interaction between Jiang Lin and Jiang Wenjing made Jing Ainen realize something. She was sad in her heart, but now was not the time to care about this. Her sister was sick. Nothing else mattered. From the moment Jiang Wenjing agreed to do this surgery, she already knew that Jiang Wenjing was probably special to Jiang Lin. She even suspected that the reason why Jiang Wenjing fell in love with her so quickly was because of Jiang Lin. Jiang Lin was her sister, so she forced herself not to think too much. She just waited for the day of the surgery. Jiang Wenjing dealt with the company's affairs. Regardless of the dissatisfaction of the Jiang couple, he went to the operating table with Jiang Lin. Mr. and Mrs. Jiang were very anxious, but they accepted this matter and waited outside the operating theater. Of course, for such a big event, Tang Guo would definitely be there. Jing An had been holding her arm the whole time. His whole body was trembling, afraid that something would happen. Until the end of the operation, Jing Ainen only felt that his legs were numb. Thinking that he was still holding Tang Guo's arm, he felt very sorry. After Yi Lian appeared, the Jiang couple quickly asked him how the surgery went. Knowing that the operation was a success, the couple breathed a sigh of relief. Jing Ainen, on the other hand, had lost all his strength and was leaning against the chair with a tearful smile on his face. Mr. and Mrs. Jiang saw that she did not look happy and even complained in their hearts. If she, the biological sister, was compatible with Jiang Lin, they would not have let their precious son suffer that stab. Jiang Wenjing was the first to wake up. When he woke up, he felt pain in his wound. There was a hole in his body, and a part of his body was taken out. How could it not hurt? He was in so much pain that his entire body felt unbearable. Seeing this, Jing Ainen hurriedly asked him if it hurt and if he should call a doctor. Chapter 38:17. After such a big operation, she will definitely be in pain. It will be very painful in the next few days. Tang Guo said, the doctor can only give her some pain relief, but once the effect of the medicine is over, she will still be in pain. When she recovers, she will be fine. Jiang Wenjing didn't want to talk now. He was stabbed for no reason, and he felt very uncomfortable. But thinking of Jiang Lin, he still asked, how is Lin Lin? Lin Lin hasn't woken up yet, but the doctor said that the operation was very successful. Next, we need to observe the rejection. Jing Ainen quickly said, looking at Jiang Wenjing with red eyes, Jing, thanks to you, Lin Lin was saved. Okay, I want to rest. Call me when Lin Lin wakes up. Jiang Wenjing didn't want to talk about this at all. He was stabbed for no reason, even if it was to save Jiang Lin, he still felt uncomfortable. Oh, okay, you have a good rest. I'll see Lin Lin and come back later. Jiang Wenjing looked impatient, but Jing Anan didn't care at all. The other party sacrificed so much for his sister and endured pain that ordinary people couldn't bear. What was wrong with a little temper? Zheng, what do you want to eat? For the time being, I can only make you a list. When your wound recovers, I will make you something else. Now Jing Anan wanted to support Jiang Wenjing as if he was an emperor. She would do whatever he said. Jiang Wenjing obviously knew Jing Anan's character, so he casually said 2 dishes and sent Jing Anan away. Jing Anan left happily, of course, to see Jiang Lin. Tang Guo looked at Jing Anan's back thoughtfully. She thought that if things continued like this, some things might not go as she wanted. Now Jing Anan seemed to be very grateful to Jiang Wenjing. After this, no matter how Jiang Wenjing treated Jing Anan in the future, she might endure it without any complaints. This was not the result she wanted. Jiang Wenjing was not only a scumbag, but also a pervert. He had no conscience and deserved to be abandoned by the whole world. How could he get Jing Anan's wholehearted treatment? The system also saw it. Host, Jing Anan now loves and is grateful to Jiang Wenjing, and she should have found that Jiang Wenjing's attitude towards Jiang Lin is unusual. At this rate, if Jiang Wenjing proposes to be her husband in name only in the future, Jing Anan will probably agree. One was his biological sister whom he loved dearly, and he had almost lost her again. The other was the person she liked, who had saved her biological sister's life. With Jing Anan's temperament, he might even be moved by the true feelings between the two and be willing to give up his position. If it were someone else, they definitely wouldn't be able to bear it, but Jing Anan was different. He could definitely bear it. I've already thought about it. Let's see how it goes first and let Jiang Wenjing have his way for a while. He hasn't had a surgery yet, has he? Tang Guo had a wicked smile on her lips. Being stabbed once is not enough. For the sake of true love, it's only right to suffer a few more stabs. There was no rush. Take your time. As for Jing Anan, she already had a plan. If it didn't work out, she would give him a golden millet dream and guarantee that he would understand everything. If unrealized dream couldn't change Jing Anan's mind, she wasn't afraid. Anyway, with or without Jing Anan, Jiang Wenjing would not have a good life in this life. During Jiang Wenjing's hospitalization, Tang Guo ran to the hospital from time to time. Chapter 38:18. Everyone in Yi Lian's department was saying that there was such an infatuated person in a wealthy family. Look at Miss Tang, she came to see Jiang Wenjing every day. It could be seen that she was infatuated with him. Why didn't they meet such an infatuated beauty? Yi Lian had a straight face on the surface, but he was silently complaining in his heart. Did Miss Tang really come for Jiang Wenjing? At Jiang Lin's request, Jiang Wenjing was now in the same ward as her. Every time he went to see Jiang Lin's situation, he found that Miss Tang's attitude towards Jiang Wenjing was very cold. They only talked for 1 or 2 sentences, but it was not comparable to her concern for Jiang Lin. Moreover, every time Miss Tang saw a patient, she would leave the ward with him. She would also casually ask him if he wanted to have lunch or something. During the conversation, he did not feel that Miss Tang had any special feelings for Jiang Wenjing. Thinking of this, Yi Lian had already stood up and planned to see how Jiang Lin was doing. Her situation was good a few days ago. What he did not expect was that Jiang Lin recovered so well after receiving Jiang Wenjing's liver. As for the rejection, it was almost negligible. As for Jiang Wenjing, his body was very strong. In a few days, he could be discharged from the hospital. It was not a big problem. As for Jiang Lin, he still needed to observe for a while. After all, there was no reaction in the first few days. There were many cases of patients who had reactions later. When he came to the ward, Yi Lian saw Tang Guo sitting next to Jiang Lin and talking to her. When Tang Guo saw Yi Lian, she stood up and said with a smile, "Dr. Yi is really dutiful. You come every day at this time." Yi Lian's face was tense. He nodded and asked about Jiang Lin's situation first. With the responsibility of a doctor, he asked about Jiang Wenjing's recovery. Jiang Wenjing's current condition was okay. Except for a slight pain in his abdomen, everything else was fine. Anyway, the most difficult days were over. When Yi Lian went out, Tang Guo also said goodbye to Jiang Lin and Jiang Wenjing and followed Yi Lian. Yi Lian silently thought in his heart, "I don't know where to go for lunch today. The nearby restaurants are almost done. It's time to change to something new." He thought about it and couldn't help but knock his head. He usually didn't eat much outside, so he really couldn't pick a few good places to eat. "Dr. Yi, I'll take my leave first." Tang Guo's voice came into his ears. Yi Lian nodded skillfully and said, "Okay." After that, he asked without thinking, "You're leaving?" After he finished speaking, he turned around and looked at Tang Guo with an expression that seemed to say, "Why did you leave just like that?" His dumbfounded look made Tang Guo laugh uncontrollably. Tang Guo nodded seriously. "The hospital is not a good place. The smell of disinfectant is everywhere. After visiting the patients, I have my own business. Of course, I have to leave. Aren't we having lunch together?" Yi Lian said again. After saying that, he was stunned. He seemed to have gotten used to having lunch with her every day. He looked a little annoyed. How could he get used to this kind of thing? "I still have some things to do today, so I won't be eating with Dr. Yi. If Dr. Yi wants to ask someone out for a meal, you can look for the other doctors in your department." Yi Lian muttered in his heart. He must be crazy to eat at a high-end restaurant with the people in the department. Wasn't that a waste? Wouldn't it be awkward for two men to have a meal in a restaurant? Chapter 38:19. The female doctor in the department was his sister. She had a family and a child. If he dared to ask them out for lunch, there would be some strange rumors in the hospital. Although the doctors faced the separation of life and death every day, in fact, they were all very good at divination. "Dr. Yi, are you okay?" Seeing Yi Lian's blank face, Tang Guo asked. Yi Lian shook his head, "I'm fine." That's a pity. "Miss Tang, take care." After saying that, he felt that something was not right. He subconsciously added, "Then next time when we are free, let's eat together." "Okay." Tang Guo responded and simply turned to leave. She was like a gust of wind that could not be caught. Yi Lian looked at her back and felt a little reluctant to part with her. When Tang Guo's back disappeared, he hurriedly went back inside. On this day, other than when he was working, Yi Lian's mind was filled with thoughts whenever he stopped. He was thinking about Miss Tang, who asked him out for lunch every day. He was so lost in his thoughts that his soul almost left his body. Yi Lian had been waiting in the hospital. He waited and waited, waiting for Tang Guo to ask him out for lunch again one day. However, when Jiang Wenjing was discharged from the hospital, Tang Guo did not ask him out again. When Jiang Lin was discharged from the hospital, she did not ask him out either. Although they met almost every day and left the ward together, he even watched her leave the hospital. But she just did not ask him out for lunch. "Dr. Yi, your rich patient has been discharged from the hospital. Why are you still absent-minded?" The doctor in the same department thought that Yi Lian was worried that Jiang Lin's condition was not good and that she would offend Jiang Wenjing's rich family. But they did not know that it was not that at all. Yi Lian sighed and shook his head. He did not know what to say. Not because of Jiang Lin. Dr. Yi, what's the matter that's troubling you? Yi Lian did not know what to say. But he thought that he was not very happy recently, so he told his situation. You said that Miss Tang asked you out for lunch every day. Because recently, she did not ask you out again. Do you feel strange? Do you feel uncomfortable? Yi Lian nodded, yes. Do you think that Miss Tang thinks I am annoying, so she does not want to eat with me? Did I eat too much? Pfft, ha 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 ha, Dr. Yi, have you never been in a relationship before? No, why must I fall in love? Yi Lian asked. Ever since he was a student, he had been studying his major seriously every day and doing experiments with his tutor. He had never thought about love at all. After becoming a doctor, all he thought about every day was how to come up with a good treatment plan for his patients. So, what is love? It couldn't cure the disease, and it was a waste of time. To be honest, he had already made up his mind to make a contribution to medicine in this lifetime. Whether he was in a relationship or not, whether he was married or not, it didn't matter. Dr. Yi, do you want to eat with Miss Tang every day? A male doctor patted Yi Lian's shoulder with a strange expression. Do you want to? Yi Lian was silent for a second and said, yes. Dr. Yi, if there was a particularly sweet stalk on the tree and you really wanted to eat it, what would you do? Take it off. Then if you want to eat with Miss Tang, you have to take the initiative to ask her out. Dr. Yi, although she is a rich girl, she has taken the initiative to ask you out a few times. It seems that she is interested in you. You can take the initiative next time. Chapter 38-20. Dr. Yi. Tang Guo was not surprised to receive a phone call from Yi Lian. But, when she heard that he wanted to have lunch with her, she found it a little funny. Today? Yes, are you free? I might not be free today. I happen to have something to do today. Tang Guo was not lying. She had indeed been busy recently. Her family's grandfather Tang wanted to train her and arrange another position for her. If she could hold on to her current position, she would have passed the first test. In the original plot, Grandfather Tang had already done this. Regardless of whether his granddaughter had fallen in love with someone she shouldn't have, Tang Corp was a big corporation. If he couldn't handle it in the future, he would have to hand it over to her. It was just that the original owner was tricked by the Jiang family in the middle of her studies and had a falling out with Elder Tang. As a result, when she was wronged by Jiang Wenjing, she did not dare to mention it to him. As the saying goes, you have to taste the bitter fruit you planted. How could the original owner understand? Grandfather Tang was such a big shot. How could he not find out about this? He had been waiting for her to admit defeat. As long as she opened her mouth, he would attack Jiang Wenjing without holding back. Unfortunately, the original owner did not say anything and ended up in her current state. Have you been busy recently? Yi Lian asked. When he heard that Tang Guo was busy, he subconsciously thought it was an excuse. Could it be that she was angry because he never asked her out for lunch? I've been studying at the office, so I have indeed been busy. Then, when you're free, let's meet again. Tang Guo smiled and replied, okay. After hanging up the phone, Yi Lian still felt a little uneasy. Not being able to meet with her made him feel even more uneasy. Could it be this was what the people in the department meant by liking someone? He couldn't help it. The people in the department were all very gossipy. Especially when it came to something like this, it was especially strange to them. Now, everyone knew that he and Miss Tang had an ambiguous relationship. To be honest, when he heard these rumors, he was not angry. Liking someone was indeed an ambiguous relationship. Knowing that Tang Guo was busy, Yi Lian did not force her. In that case, he would meet again in a few days. If he couldn't make an appointment with her, he would find out what she was busy with when he was free. Jiang Wenjing and Jiang Lin were discharged from the hospital one after another. Jiang Wenjing recovered very well. Now there were rumors in the circle that Jiang Wenjing doted on his sister. Mr. and Mrs. Jiang were originally unhappy about this matter, but Jiang Lin was a very good person. In just a few days, she managed to coax the Jiang couple into forgetting about this matter temporarily. They didn't feel that Jiang Lin had done anything wrong. Instead, they felt that it was all Jing Ainen's fault. Jing An was Jiang Lin's biological sister. If it wasn't for the fact that Jing An was not compatible, would her son have been stabbed? In the Jiang family, Jing An's life was very difficult. The Jiang couple did not treat her well, and even the Jiang family's helpers looked down on her. No matter what she did, she couldn't satisfy the Jiang couple. Jiang Lin would occasionally smooth things over. Of course, this smoothing over had to be done with quotation marks. Especially when the Jiang couple were not around, Jiang Lin and Jiang Wenjing were intimately close, which hurt Jing Ainen's eyes. Guessing was one thing, but actually seeing it was another. Jiang Lin often clung to Jiang Wenjing, and her eyes were full of possessiveness. If it were someone else, Jing An would definitely say something. However, this person was his younger sister. Chapter 38-21. Jiang Lin had just been discharged from the hospital. She didn't want to do anything that would irritate her and make her sick again. What made Jing Ainen even more uncomfortable was that Jiang Wenjing was getting colder and colder to her. Sometimes, he would be dragged out to the mall by Jiang Lin and wouldn't take her with him. In front of her so openly, they didn't care about anything at all. A month later, Jing Ainen finally couldn't bear such a life and decided to talk to Jiang Wenjing about it. "Zheng, do you like Lin Lin? You don't have to explain. If you really like Lin Lin, let's divorce." "I'm too naive. If you don't really like Lin Lin, why would you make such a big sacrifice? From the way Lin Lin looks at you, you must have liked each other for a long time." Although she wasn't particularly smart, she still knew some things. Jiang Wenjing didn't deny it. "You can tell." "Of course I can. You're so obvious. How can I not see it? In that case, let's divorce. Then you can be with Lin Lin openly." Although she also liked Jiang Wenjing, they were obviously a real loving couple. In front of the person she loved and her closest sister, she chose to give up and let them be together. Just when Jiang Wenjing was about to say something, Jiang Lin suddenly rushed in and threw herself into Jiang Wenjing's arms. She looked at Jing Ainen with a wronged expression. "Sister, in fact, brother Zheng and I have always liked each other. I thought I was going to die before, so I left. Later, when I heard that brother Zheng got married, I hurried back, but it was too late. Well, now the truth is out. Then I'll divorce brother Zheng and you can be together." Even though her heart hurt, Jing Ainen still made such a decision. After all, Jiang Lin was her sister. If Jiang Wenjing really liked her, she would definitely not let him. The fact was that Jiang Wenjing might have treated her as Lin Lin's substitute. Although she was a little sad, she had to accept the fact. "Sister, brother Zheng and I can't be together openly. Let's not talk about the fact that we're from the same household and can't get a marriage certificate. Besides, the Jiang family is famous. If I marry brother Zheng, I don't know how many people will laugh at me." Jing Ainen looked at Jing Ainen pleadingly. "Sister, since you're already married to brother Zheng, why don't we do this? Because you're my biological sister, I don't mind this at all." But in the future, we still need you to help us keep this a secret. Sister, isn't my request too much? Jing Anan was stunned. He did not expect Jiang Lin to make such a request. I don't have anyone I like now. Brother Zhang and I will never get married. Why don't we do this for the time being? When you find someone you like, when the time is right, you can get a divorce at any time. Moreover, I can't bear to part with you. We just reunited. If you get a divorce, I don't know what attitude I should use to get along with my parents. Sis, don't leave me alone, okay? Under Jiang Lin's persuasion, Jing An's heart softened, and he agreed to be Jiang Wenjing's wife on the surface to cover for them. Jiang Lin was very proud. She knew that Jing An loved Jiang Wenjing very much. Only in this way would Jing An live in pain every day. As long as there were no outsiders, she would stick to Jiang Wenjing every day and let Jing Anan watch the man she loved dote on another woman. Chapter 38-22. Not long after, Jiang Wenjing made a decision to move out of the Jiang family with Jing Anan and live in his new villa. Of course, Jiang Lin would come every day. Outsiders thought that Jiang Wenjing moved into the new villa for Jing Anan and didn't want her to be wronged. What really happened in the villa was that Jing Anan watched Jiang Wenjing and Jiang Lin being intimate with each other. She was tormented and didn't know what to do. Every time she had the intention to leave, Jiang Lin would cry in front of her, making it impossible for her to harden her heart. Because of the move into the new villa, the relationship between Jing Anan and the Jiang couple fell to the freezing point. Jing Anan couldn't do anything about it. He could only endure it. Looking at the person who used to be so gentle to her, who was really meticulous to Jiang Lin, she felt sour in her heart, but she couldn't get close to him. Because she was the replacement, and that person was her sister, she couldn't do anything excessive. Tang Guan knew about the Jiang family's movements. She guessed that Jiang Lin wouldn't be so obedient. Now that the news of moving into the new villa was out, Jing Anan's reputation of not getting along well with her in-laws was ruined. A woman who had no background, joined a rich family, and didn't get along well with her in-laws would only be laughed at by the ladies in the circle. It was impossible for her to integrate into the circle. Jiang Lin would probably start tormenting Jing Anan by now. In that villa, Jiang Lin and Jiang Wenjing would probably show off their love in front of Jing Anan, and maybe even fight in real life. Therefore, Tang Guo planned to ask Jing Anan out for tea. When she saw Jing Anan, she thought that she had mistaken her for someone else. Jing Anan looked haggard, with heavy dark circles under her eyes. Her eyes were full of fatigue, and she was different from the girl who had used all her courage to marry Jiang Wenjing. At that time, Jing Anan's eyes were bright, and there was a colorful world in them. It was a different kind of wonderful. Right now, Jing Anan was completely lifeless. It was as if he had lost all signs of life. Perhaps he didn't even know the meaning of life anymore. You don't seem to be living well. Is someone giving you a hard time? Tang Guo asked. Jing Anan quickly shook her head, nothing. You don't look like you're fine. Tang Guo handed Jing Anan a mirror. Haven't you looked in the mirror recently? Even if you were embarrassed by the Jiang family, as long as Jiang Wenjing was on your side, your face shouldn't be like this. Whether a person is happy or not can be seen from their eyes. Jing Anan gently bit her lower lip. She only glanced at herself in the mirror and then looked away. She didn't expect her to look so ugly now. Since you're not living well, why don't you break up? Go back to your old life. Jing Anan said in a low voice, everyone has their own difficulties. I'm sorry to make Miss Tang unhappy. You don't look like you've had a good rest. It just so happens that I have a special sleeping pill here. Do you want to take one and have a good sleep? You live your own life. As an outsider, I won't meddle in other people's business. Tang Gui took out a transparent glass bottle. There was a pill in it, which looked like an ordinary sleeping pill. Jing Ainin took it and said thank you. Without telling Tang Gui about the situation at home, she said goodbye and left. At night, Jing Ainin listened to the sound from next door. She felt so uncomfortable that she couldn't fall asleep. She suddenly remembered the special sleeping pill Tang Gui gave her during the day. She took it out of her bag and ate it. As soon as she swallowed it, she felt sleepy. She quickly lay down and fell asleep. In the morning, Jiang Wenjing had already gone to the company. Jiang Lin probably got up. If she was surprised, Jing Ainin should have already made breakfast at this time. Sure enough, she went downstairs and saw Jing Ainin sitting at the table waiting for her. "Sister, are you waiting for me?" Jiang Lin greeted Jing Ainin with a smile as usual. She liked to see Jing Ainin forcing a smile, but in fact, she was in pain. Chapter 38-23. Jing Ainin looked up and smiled gently at Jiang Lin. Lin, you're up. Hurry up and eat. If you don't eat, the food will get cold. Okay. As Jiang Lin ate, she felt that something was wrong. She quickly looked up and realized that Jing Ainin had been staring at her. "Sister, what's wrong?" "Nothing, I just want to see Lin," Jing Ainin said. Lin, eat. I just want to see you eat. When I think about how I almost lost you, I'm very scared. Now that I've finally passed the most difficult days, the big stone in my heart has finally been lifted. Jiang Lin couldn't bear to hear Jing Ainin talk about sisterhood. Jing Ainin was like this, easily swayed. As her sister, as long as she said something casually, she would be able to arouse the other party's sympathy. She said that all these years she had been thinking about the happy days when they were young. Jing Ainin would think about all sorts of things, reminisce about the past, and even wipe her tears. She also said that all these years she had been thinking about her sister, Jing Ainin, every day. Jing Ainin's eyes would also turn red, as if she was about to cry. She didn't know where she got so many tears from. She found it extremely funny. How could there be any sisterhood between them? Since she could remember, she had hoped so much that she was the only one in this world, and Jing Ainin didn't exist. When her parents were alive, they always said that she was a mischievous girl in front of others, and that she wasn't as sensible and diligent as Jing Ainin. They even said that if they weren't familiar with the two sisters, how could they be twins with such a big difference in personality and appearance? Even in that car accident in her memory, the person her parents cared about the most was her sensible and obedient sister, Jing Ainin. They didn't even want to leave her a last word. So, how could there be any sisterhood between them? There was none at all. Everything was just Jing Ainin's wishful thinking. She guessed that Jing Ainin was a little abnormal today. It was most likely because she was sad to see her and Jiang Wenjing being lovey-dovey every day, so she could only use family to distract herself. She wanted to use this to make herself feel better. She was dreaming. She wouldn't let her have her way. "Sister." Jiang Lin called out. Jing Ainin slowly looked up and her gaze fell on her face. "What's the matter?" "Sister, I miss Brother Zheng a little. Can you go with me later? When Brother Zheng is done with his work, we can go for dinner and watch a movie together. Speaking of which, it's been a long time since we went out together." Seeing Jing Ainin's hesitation, Jiang Lin stood up and sat beside Jing Ainin. She kept saying that no matter what, she hoped that Jing Ainin would be by her side. Finally, Jing Ainin, who had been silent for a while, agreed. "All right, I'll go with you." Realizing that Jing Ainin was silent, Jiang Lin was in a good mood. After dinner, she went upstairs to put on her makeup and change her clothes. She looked exceptionally happy, as if Jing Anan was really willing to accompany her. Jiang Lin went downstairs and found that Jing Anan was still wearing ordinary clothes. She sneered in her heart. Jing Anan was still a little self-aware. She knew that no matter how she dressed up, she couldn't get Jiang Wenjing's heart. They had made it clear that Jiang Wenjing was Jiang Lin's man, and Jing Anan had no right to touch him. This woman was really stupid. The man she married was actually her younger sister's. She didn't even dare to think about it. Just thinking about it made her feel very happy. Chapter 38-24. When they went to Jiang Wenjing's office, Jing Anan sat on one side while Jiang Lin sat beside Jiang Wenjing intimately. Those who didn't know would think that Jiang Lin accompanied Jing Anan to see Jiang Wenjing, and that Jiang Wenjing and her were very loving. In particular, Jiang Lin had been clinging to Jiang Wenjing all morning and even made him cancel 2 meetings. It felt like a demon concubine, a king who misled the court. When did Jiang Lin want to stick to Jiang Wenjing like this? It was rare for Jiang Wenjing to see Jiang Lin like this, so he thought that it was fine to delay it for a day. Besides, the 2 meetings weren't important. There was nothing important at hand for the time being. The people in the company weren't idle, so they could just ask someone to deal with it. But the people in the company all felt that Jiang Wenjing loved Jing Anan more than the company. Originally, Jing Anan, a commoner girl with no background, married into a rich family, which made people feel dissatisfied and envious. Jing Anan wasn't the kind of person who would amaze people. Many people really didn't understand what she did to make Jiang Wenjing so obsessed. I really don't know what kind of luck she has to be able to become our president's wife. In the assistant's office, there were already people talking about it. I won't admit that she's our president's wife. See, with her submissive appearance, how can she be worthy of President Jiang? Another female assistant said, to be honest, I'm very curious. What method did she use to make our President Jiang like her? Needless to say, it must be some kind of seductive trick. Now that she's found the office, he cancelled 2 meetings. CEO Jiang even cancelled 2 meetings because of her. Do you think they will do something in the office? What are you thinking? That's President Jiang, President Jiang. At this point, a female assistant paused for a moment. Who knows, what if he's really doing something? Curious? If you're curious, go and take a peek. Maybe you'll find a big secret. By the way, Sister Xiaoyang, aren't you the most concerned about President Jiang? Previously, you said that if Jing Anan can be promoted, you can be promoted. You're also the best-looking one here. After so many years, President Jiang hasn't even looked at you. Do you feel particularly unsatisfied? The female assistant named Xiaoyang was indeed the prettiest in the entire assistant office. His eyes, in particular, were filled with ambition. But when she thought that Jiang Wenjing had married Jing Anan, her face was full of anger. If Jiang Wenjing married the daughter of the Tang family, she wouldn't think about it. They were a perfect match for each other. But what right did Jing Anan have to be the president's wife? Don't fold it, the lipstick is going to break. Speaking of which, are you really not going to take a look? Don't you have some documents in your hands that you wanted to show to Director Jiang? Let's go and see what's going on in the office. Xiaoyang quickly looked at her lipstick. Fortunately, it was still there. This was her new limited edition lipstick. She looked at herself in the mirror and said disdainfully, "Is there something wrong with your brains? Miss Jiang is here. What could happen in the office?" "Oh. That's right. We were thinking too much." The female assistants all said, but they didn't look embarrassed at all. Obviously, they were just guessing. It wasn't that they didn't think of this, but they just wanted someone to see what happened in Jiang Wenjing's office. Chapter 38-25. Fortunately, Sister Yang reminded us. Otherwise, we would have made a mistake. Sigh, it's fine if Mr. Jiang doesn't want to be with Miss Tang, but Jing Ainen? In my opinion, Sister Yang is prettier than Jing Ainen. She's much more elegant and has seen many big occasions. It's said that no matter what party Jing Ainen attends, no one talks to her. Those rich young ladies and madams all ignore her. Don't you think it's embarrassing? Our Sister Yang is different. Among all the assistants, she is the most outstanding one. She is trusted by Mr. Jiang. She has attended so many high-level parties and can talk to some of the rich young ladies. Really, Mrs. Jiang can't even compare to our Sister Yang. I really don't know what she can do to make Mr. Jiang delay his work. Yang glanced at these women indifferently and found the documents she was going to show to Jiang Wenjing. Okay, stop flattering me. I know you are curious, so I'll reluctantly go and have a look. She also wanted to see what method Jing Ainen had used to make Mr. Jiang delay his work. There had never been such a case before. When Yang knocked on the office door and said that there were a few urgent documents that she needed Jiang Wenjing to see, she stood at the door with her heart beating fast. She was ready to be scolded. After all, it was like that on TV. If she disturbed the Mr. President, she would definitely be scolded. The reason why she took the risk to come was to let the commoner Mrs. Jiang know how sinful it was to disturb the Mr. President's work. Because the office door was locked, she couldn't enter even if she had Jiang Wenjing's permission. What she didn't expect was that when the door opened, the person she saw was Jing Ainen. What surprised her even more was that Jing Ainen's eyes were red and wet. As if she had noticed her gaze, Jing Ainen quickly turned around and sat back in her original position. When she looked up again, Jing Ainen's eyes had returned to normal. There were no traces of tears in them. However, the previous glance made Yang pay more attention to Jing Ainen. She found that her eyes were full of resentment. But if she looked at her more, Jing Ainen would shift her gaze elsewhere. However, she could still see a faint sadness in him. Strange. After marrying President Jiang and becoming the president's wife, why did she act like a resentful wife, as if life was not going well? Even if it was because of the Jiang family's parents and the outside world looking down on her, she should be very happy in front of Director Jiang. While sending the documents to Jiang Wenjing, Xiao Yang kept looking at Jing Ainen from the corner of his eyes. The faint sadness on Jing Ainen could not be erased. The more Yang thought about it, the more he felt that something was amiss. Could it be that they had a conflict? Brother Zheng, you're working so hard every day. You have to deal with so many documents, Jiang Lin said, attracting Yang's attention. Only then did Yang realize that Jiang Lin was sitting next to Jiang Wenjing. It was strange that Jing Ainen was sitting so far away. Even if Jiang Lin and Jiang Wenjing were siblings, the way they sat was too strange. Of course, she was just an assistant. Even if she usually showed off, she still had to be honest in front of Jiang Wenjing. She didn't dare to say anything, so as not to annoy him. Therefore, no matter what Jiang Lin said, she would only listen and not say a word. This was the awareness of working for Jiang Wenjing. Chapter 38-26. If she wanted to stay for a long time, she shouldn't show her insensible side in front of Mr. Jiang. She should just obey him. Over the years, many assistants had seduced Jiang Wenjing. Although she also had this idea, she wasn't stupid enough to seduce him so obviously. For a man like Jiang Wenjing, it was impossible to seduce him with the most inferior means. Since it didn't work, it was better to pretend to be a conscientious assistant. This way, at least in front of him, she could have some say. Sure enough, she was on the right path. Even if she couldn't be the first secretary, it was still possible to be the second secretary. She couldn't get him, but she wanted to be the most capable assistant by Mr. Jiang's side. Even Mrs. Jiang had to be polite to her when she saw her in the future. Brother Jing, I have something to tell you. Jiang Lin smiled and hugged Jiang Wenjing's arm. This seemed to be a very natural action between the two siblings. Even Xiao Yang didn't find anything wrong. After all, Jiang Lin and Jiang Wenjing were very close. Jiang Wenjing stopped reading the documents and asked, "What's the matter? What do you think if I work in the company? After being sick, I know what it means to be a cripple. I don't want to do the same job as before. I don't know how to go to work. I only know how to buy things every day and always give you trouble. Seeing you so busy today, I feel very guilty, so can I work in the company? Maybe I can help you." Lin, it's good that you have this idea, but work is very hard. I'm worried about your body. If my body can't take it, I definitely won't force it. I just want to prove myself. Jiang Wenjing was a little touched and agreed. Jiang Lin looked at Jing Ainen, who was sitting far away and had been silent. She stood up and ran to Jing Ainen's side. "Sister, can you work in the company with me? If you work with me, I will be able to quickly familiarize myself with this unfamiliar environment. And didn't you say before that you want to go out to work? It's better to work here than elsewhere. It's great that we can still be together." Jiang Lin saw that Jing Ainen didn't respond, so she turned to Jiang Wenjing and said, "Brother Jing, what do you think? I really hope that sister can be with me. That way, both of us sisters will be in the same place. I also want to help Brother Jing. I don't want to be a useless person, but I can't bear to leave sister. Why don't you come to work, An? You're still not familiar with the company situation, so you two sisters can take care of each other." "Okay, then I'll come to work in the company." Jing Ainen said, "So, are we starting from the bottom, or?" Jiang Lin narrowed her eyes. "Let's start from the bottom. We're here to work seriously, not to enjoy life. Of course, we have to do practical things. I don't want to become a good-for-nothing. Elder sister also doesn't want me to become someone who only knows how to eat and drink, right? And I know you, sister. You don't want to come to the company to drink tea." Jing Ainen still nodded and agreed to this matter. On the third day, Jing Ainen and Jiang Lin started working. In order to torment Jing Ainen, Jiang Lin chose to enter the company's marketing department. Of course, it was tough to be at the bottom of the marketing department. Without some connections, it was really not easy to get started. Fortunately, with their status, even if they didn't have any business, they wouldn't be chased away. Jiang Lin saw how clumsy Jing Ainen was and found it funny. She pretended not to know anything. When Jing Ainen was especially busy, there were all kinds of problems for her to solve. Chapter 38:27. Jing Ainen was so busy that she lost a lot of weight. Jiang Lin, on the other hand, felt much better. Occasionally, she would say that she was not feeling well and go to Jiang Wenjing's office to look for her. If she wanted to go up, who would dare to stop her? Jing Ainen would never say anything to her. If she had something to do, she would probably help her finish it. In the end, just as Jiang Lin had expected, Jing Ainen not only completed his own project, but also completed hers. Gradually, Jing Ainen got the business and became busier every day. She had to face some of the company's cynicism and difficulties from customers. From time to time, she would be called to Jiang Wenjing's office by Jiang Lin, who said that she shared desserts with her and felt that she had worked hard. Then, Jing Ainen sat aside and ate desserts, listening to Jiang Lin and Jiang Wenjing show off their love. Jiang Lin looked at Jing Anan, who was silent and only buried her head. She could imagine how painful it was for her, and her heart ached even more. Assistant Xiao Yang, who had been observing all of this, cursed in her heart, as if she had discovered a huge secret. She was not sure about many things, but one thing she was sure of was that Jiang Wenjing did not love Jing Anan. At first, she was very happy with this discovery and even secretly mocked Jing Anan several times. Later, Jing Anan did not refute or say anything harsh. She just endured it, and she lost interest. The main thing was that she found that Jing Anan was not liked by Jiang Wenjing, so she was not so jealous. On the contrary, Jiang Wenjing's love for his sister, Jiang Lin, made her speechless. Jing Anan had been living a hard life recently. Compared to before, she had lost a lot of weight. However, no one noticed that Jing Anan, who was silent in front of the company and buried her head in everything she did, had a different look in her eyes. When she lowered her head, her eyes were full of ice and frost. When she raised her head, she looked aggrieved. In front of the customers, she had gone from stumbling to being calm and natural. She was very trusted by the customers. Unknowingly, under Jiang Lin's difficulties, Jing Anan had accumulated a lot of connections for herself. But in front of Jiang Lin and Jiang Wenjing, Jing Anan was no different from before. Although she had made some achievements in business, Jiang Lin did not think highly of her. Jiang Lin thought that those clients only agreed because Jing Anan was Jiang Wenjing's wife in name. As for the business, Jiang Lin didn't bother Jing Anan. She still had a sense of propriety and didn't want to leave a bad impression on Jiang Wenjing. Moreover, Jing Anan had signed a prenuptial agreement. No matter how much she helped the company, everything in the Jiang family did not belong to her. After work, Jing Anan still had to prepare delicious food for Jing Anan, as if he was used to all this. "Sis, you're so nice to me. It's my favorite seafood again." Jing Anan was wearing an apron and busying himself in the kitchen. He turned around and glanced at Jiang Lin, who was standing at the door with no intention of coming over to help. He didn't mind. "I know how to cook whatever you like. I'll cook seafood for you every night in a different way. After the seafood, there are desserts and cold drinks, all of which are your favorite. I've tried a few new dishes recently. Sister, if it weren't for you, how could I live such a happy life? I'm really grateful to you for being able to live and be with brother Ajing openly. After all, you're my sister. If I don't treat you well, who should I treat well? The dishes are almost ready. Eat more later." Chapter 38-28. At the dinner table, Jiang Lin found that Jing Anan didn't eat much, so she asked, "Sister, aren't you eating? The weather is too hot, so I don't have a good appetite, especially at night. I'll just have some porridge." Jiang Lin didn't care about that. She liked seafood very much, so it was none of her business if Jing Anan couldn't eat it. After dinner, Jiang Lin had desserts and cold drinks. She felt that her life was very comfortable now. She wanted this feeling where Jing Anan had to treat her well even though she was upset. Brother Ajing still has a business meeting tonight. I don't know when he'll be back. Sister, you go to sleep first. I'll wait for Brother Ajing to come back so we can sleep together. Yes, Jiang Lin reminded Jing Anan every moment that she was the one who was with Jiang Wenjing. She even pretended to be innocent, so no one could find fault with her. Jing Anan must be so upset that she couldn't sleep at night again. Okay, then go to sleep early. Jing Anan returned to her room like a robot and happily turned on the TV. She leaned on the sofa and watched. At this time, Jing Anan said, "There's your favorite desserts and cold drinks in the fridge. You can eat them when you're hungry." Okay. Jiang Lin's lips moved and she muttered softly. She was destined to be a nanny. Her brain didn't seem to be very good, but she still worked hard without complaint. Late at night, Jing Ainen stood in a dark corner and watched Jiang Lin eat one popsicle after another. He lowered his head silently with a faint smile on his face. Jiang Lin thought that she didn't gain weight. With a nanny ordering her around every day, she could eat freely. She really didn't gain weight, so she was even more relieved. You said that other than going to work, Jing Ainen came back to cook all kinds of delicious food for Jiang Lin, especially seafood, desserts, and cold drinks? Dear host, has your pipe dream expired? The system said strangely. However, I keep feeling that something is wrong. Anyway, I can roughly see that her whereabouts are covered up. However, there's one thing worth noting. Jing Ainen got the business quite quickly. Although she stumbled at the beginning, she was always able to move the client and get them to agree to sign the contract. My dear host, you have great foresight. Those that you have taken a liking to are at least outstanding in some aspect. Then give me a list of Jiang Lin's food. I want to see what Jing Ainen made for her. Upon hearing this, the system's data jumped wildly. Dear host, did you discover something? I have a guess. Based on your description, Jing Ainen's reaction was too calm, but I can be sure that a pipe dream didn't fail. So why didn't she have any reaction? Do you think the medicine has lost its effect, or is she hiding herself too well? Tang Gua sighed softly. In the plot, Jing Ainen was kidnapped by Jiang Lin's kinship and had been deceived. Her days were miserable. Jiang Lin and Jiang Wenjing had used her soft-heartedness to hurt her countless times. After the original owner died, I still don't know what Jing Ainen experienced. If the medicine hasn't expired, then there's only one possibility. She wants to do something big. Unknowingly, it's like a slow-acting poison, invading someone's body. It's only waiting for the final blow to destroy everything. In Jing Ainen's heart, she's a small and weak ant, while Jiang Wenjing is a huge and sturdy castle. The ant has already understood that she can't fight with the castle head-on. She can only bite the foundation of the castle bit by bit. She doesn't bite just one place, but every part of the foundation. She bites until the bottom is full of holes. Even if the castle looks intact, as long as there's a little water, a little wind, a little earthquake, the castle will collapse. Dear host, I understand. 1 week later, I will give you a list of all the recipes that Jiang Lin eats. The system felt a little cold. The host said that Jing Ainen is doing something big. Women are really scary. A week later, Tang Guo looked at Jiang Lin's recipe, and the corners of her mouth curved into a smile. Chapter 38-29. Sure enough, there are a lot of cold foods. Although there are other combinations, according to the records, Jiang Lin will only choose what she likes to eat. There are also so many sweets, almost every meal. What a good idea. So, she doesn't even touch the food that neutralizes these cold foods. Jing Ainen plans to let Jiang Lin get kidney disease as soon as possible so that Jiang Wenjing can be stabbed. No wonder she secretly made Jiang Wenjing's favorite food. But Jiang Wenjing doesn't eat much and often goes out to socialize, so there won't be any big problems. Anyway, no matter what, Jing Ainen and Jiang Wenjing have to be stabbed again, right? That's right. Since Jing Ainen could do such a big thing so decisively, Tang Gua decided not to do it herself. She let Jing Ainen do it. She was thinking about what would happen if Jiang Lin and Jiang Wenjing had surgery in the future. Their bodies would definitely not be as good as before, and the Jiang family would be finished. However, Jing Ainen had signed a prenuptial agreement. It wouldn't be easy for an ant to touch an elephant with the Jiang couple around. If Jing Ainen didn't have a good idea, she would have to destroy the Jiang family. Then, she would let Jing Anan take revenge on Jiang Wenjing and Jiang Lin, and she would wait to destroy the Jiang family. Things hadn't reached that day yet, and she didn't know what would happen. She also didn't know what Jing Anan was planning. As for having a showdown with Jing Anan, she wasn't interested. Then, she would just sit and wait. Although Tang Gui didn't plan to have a showdown with Jing Anan, since she slowly started to manage the Tang group, she arranged for some of the business staff to contact Jing Anan. Of course, whether they cooperated or not depended on whether Jing Anan had the ability to satisfy them. The business staff basically contacted Jing Anan with a skeptical attitude. Later, they really signed a contract with Jing Anan and came back to say a lot of good things about Jing Anan to Tang Gui. Unknowingly, Jing Anan went from a small salesperson to the position of business manager. According to the rules of the Jiang family, he also had a certain percentage of shares, although it was very small. But in front of Jiang Lin, Jing Anan would say that these people were probably doing it because she was Mrs. Jiang. Jiang Lin believed it and didn't think Jing Anan had any ability at all. If Jing Anan was really a small salesperson without any background, how could those companies look at Jing Anan? Wasn't it because of the Jiang family's reputation that they were willing to cooperate with him? When Anan became the business manager, Jiang Lin was also promoted. Because of her physical discomfort in business, she had mentioned to Jiang Wenjing a long time ago. Even Jing Anan suggested that it was better for her to stay in the office. Therefore, Jiang Lin was also a manager in the company now, but she usually had nothing to do. In any case, she was the young lady of the Jiang family. There were many people who fawned on her. Her subordinates could do everything for her perfectly. She didn't need to worry about anything. She watched Jing Anan run here and there every day. Not only did he become thin, but he also became a lot darker. When he returned home, he was busy cooking. She felt especially happy. As for whether Jing Anan had negotiated some business deal, she didn't care at all. Even if Jing Anan really had that little bit of ability, others could only see Jing Anan's glory, but she could see Jing Anan's unknown side, which was unbearably painful. It was not the first time she had seen Jing Anan staring at Jiang Wenjing with a pair of affectionate and reluctant eyes. That kind of feeling was what she wanted. Chapter 38:30. She even guessed that Jing Anan worked so hard because she didn't want to think about those things. Even if she didn't want to, she would make Jing Anan face it countless times a day. In the afternoon, Jiang Lin called Jing Anan again. "Sis, are you done with your work? It's already noon. It's time to eat. I'm having lunch with a client. I might not be able to come back this afternoon. I can't eat with you." Jing Anan's voice came from the other side. "I see. Then come back when you're done. I'll leave you dessert. I'll wait for you in Brother Zhang's office." "Okay." After Jiang Lin hung up the phone, Jing Anan put away her phone and smiled apologetically at the person on the other side. "Sorry to keep you waiting." "It's okay. We don't have to be so distant. It's just that I didn't expect you to change so much. Even in my dreams, I didn't think that the timid and introverted little girl would be my partner this time." This time, Jing Anan's partner was actually Ming Huan. Jing Anan looked at the person in front of her and couldn't bear to see his focused eyes. She quickly looked away. "You must be hungry. Eat first. We'll talk about other things after eating. Whether it's catching up or talking about business, we have to fill our stomachs." "You're right. Eat first. You must be hungry too." During the meal, Ming Huan's eyes were on Jing Anan. Jing Anan pretended not to notice that kind of gaze, but Ming Huan's eyes were too serious. Many times she wanted to burst into tears, but she quickly held them back. She could only pretend that the dishes were too spicy, so spicy that some tears came out. If you can't take the spicy food, order something else. Ming Huan looked at Jing Ainin and quickly poured her water. Jing Ainin shook her head. I like it. Ming Huan liked spicy food, so today's dishes were ordered according to his taste. He wondered if Jing Ainin ordered all the dishes he liked because they were going to cooperate this time. Is it really okay? Yes. It's a little spicy, but it tastes good. I heard that you're married. You're Jiang Wenjing's wife now. Ming Huan asked casually, but he saw Jing Ainin's body stiffen. Although she recovered quickly, he still noticed it. Yes. Since you're already the wife of the Jiang family, why do you still have to work so hard? We can't just sit around and eat. Although Madame Jiang doesn't have to worry about food and drink, what if one day she's no longer Madame Jiang? Ming Huan was stunned and asked casually, are you having a hard time? The life of a wealthy family is not as simple as you think. Although the outside world was saying how much Jiang Wenjing doted on his wife, he didn't think that his behavior was really doting on Jing Ainin. Instead, it was pushing her to the fire to roast. Most people would be burnt to a crisp in that place sooner or later. I'm doing fine. I'm doing pretty well. What about you? How are you doing? We haven't seen each other in years. You went abroad to study in the second year of high school. It's been 6 or 7 years since we last met. Jing Ainin's voice suddenly became softer. How old is the child? When Ming Huan heard this, he suddenly laughed. He doesn't even have a girlfriend. How can he have a child? Back then, he had pursued Jing Ainin, but she had rejected him on the grounds that their identities did not match. She had also refused him to take her abroad to further her studies. He regretted it now. If he had worked harder at that time, or if he hadn't been in a hurry to leave the country and stayed, it might have been a different ending. Chapter 38-31. When Jing Ainin heard this, the stone pressing down on his heart loosened a little. She didn't dare to keep looking at Ming Huan. His smile was too bright. If she looked at him for too long, she might not be able to help but hug him. She couldn't do that, at least not now. She had more important things to do. She wanted to take revenge on Jiang Lin and Jiang Wenjing. She wanted them to live in pain for the rest of their lives. She wanted to avenge 5 people. The first was for herself, the second was for Ming Huan, the third was for Miss Tang, who had once saved her, the fourth was for her unborn child, and the fifth was for the child who had not lived a single good day because of what had happened to her. The child who had grown up with difficulties. Because of Jiang Lin, Jiang Wenjing hurt her and played with her feelings at will. He asked her to cut out her liver, abort her child, cut out a kidney, and finally treated her like a puppet. Because Ming Huan helped her, Jiang Wenjing was jealous. He broke Ming Huan's legs and face, and even caused his company to go bankrupt. A sunny and beautiful person was destroyed just like that. Because Miss Tang sympathized with her, she took her away from that hellish place. Therefore, Jiang Wenjing cruelly found many men to humiliate Miss Tang and even sold her to that dark place to be tortured to death. How did she know? It was all because of that crazy Jiang Wenjing who showed her those videos. She could only helplessly watch Miss Tang die. Jiang Wenjing also told her that as long as she dared to run, no matter who dared to save her, he wouldn't hurt her, but he would make those people suffer. Later, she didn't dare to run anymore. Jiang Wenjing was a devil, a pervert. Although many things were a little different now, it didn't mean that she would forget the hatred deeply imprinted in her mind. The wounds from the heart could never be healed. Although Jing Ainin was restraining herself, Ming Huan was a subtle person. He felt something, but he didn't expose it. There were some things that he would slowly figure out what was going on. After the two cooperated this time, Ming-Huan occasionally sent a message to say hello. It wasn't any ambiguous words, but genuine concern. Unlike Jing Anan, who had once fallen in love, Jing Anan would read Ming-Huan's message over and over again. He would only reply seriously after pondering over it. Tang Guo found out about Jing Anan and Ming-Huan's contact from the system. She was not surprised at all. She was not surprised by Jing Anan's attitude towards Ming-Huan. She even had a brilliant idea. Jing Anan didn't seem to reject Ming-Huan. From the information given by the system and the storyline, Jing Anan should like a sunny person like Ming-Huan. Judging from Jing Anan's attitude towards Ming-Huan, it wasn't impossible for the two of them to continue their relationship. If the Jiang family could no longer hold on in the future, Jing An would take control of the Jiang family, marry Ming-Huan, and have children. Everything would be perfect. What do you think? Host, your thoughts are very good. I just don't know what they are thinking. The system complained to itself that the host was indeed very bad. It even suspected that before the host finished speaking, Jiang Wenjing would be lying in the hospital bed, watching Jing Anan and Ming-Huan's family being lovey-dovey. Everything in the Jiang family would fall into their hands, but they couldn't do anything about it. Just thinking about it made it very happy. What they think depends on how they go. I can't control other people's feelings. That's right, Madam Host. You should take care of yourself. Chapter 38-32. Dr. Yi is on leave today. He'll probably ask you out for a meal again. You two have been going out for so long. Why haven't you made any progress? Isn't this good? Dr. Yi must think it's good too. Don't ask for too much. System, Dr. Yi with low EQ is done for this time. The guard could only stare blankly. Sure enough, Tang Guo received a call from Yi Lian when it was almost 12 o'clock. Am I bothering you? Miss Tang. No, Dr. Yi. What's the matter? Let's eat. I'm on leave today and happened to pass by your company. Why don't we go out for a meal together? I see. Okay, I'm not busy anyway. Let's go eat. Tang Guo saw Yi Lian and found that he was holding a bouquet of flowers. Yi Lian handed the flowers to her and said, "A little girl selling flowers passed by just now. I thought she was pitiful, so I bought them all. You should like them since they're so pretty. It's not appropriate to have these in my house." Tang Guo took the flowers and looked at the big sun in the sky. The little girl selling flowers outside under such a big sun probably didn't sell them. She didn't intend to expose him, as if she agreed with Yi Lian. Then, the two went to the restaurant to eat. Yi Lian had booked the seats early in the morning. After all, there were still a lot of seats at this time. After eating for a while, a familiar voice suddenly appeared in her ear. "Miss Tang, Dr. Yi, are you here for a meal too?" Jing Anan came with Ming-Huan. It was Ming-Huan who asked her to have a meal with him on the pretext of business. They talked about the meal while eating. Jing Anan didn't refuse. She could refuse many people now, but she didn't want to refuse Ming-Huan. She tried not to think about this person. She didn't even want to disturb him for fear of bringing danger to him. But Ming-Huan's persistence and the happy time in her memory made her unable to let go. Now everything was different. She had missed it once. Why couldn't she take the initiative to grab the one she liked? Therefore, she didn't refuse. However, she was only in business with Ming-Huan for the time being. She believed that her attitude would make Ming-Huan feel something. She knew Ming-Huan very well. If he knew the truth, he wouldn't give up. At first, she wanted to avoid Ming-Huan and protect him. Later, she wanted to get close to Ming-Huan. Why should she avoid him? Wouldn't it be better to let the other party sit on Jiang Wenjing's empire with him? This was all Jiang Wenjing's fault. He owed them and deserved it. Recently, she had stopped calling Tanggua. She just didn't know how to face her. She thought about it for a long time and finally decided that Miss Tang was the one who had changed everything and had the ability to change everything. She and Jiang Lin did not match. Was this something an ordinary person could do? Among the few people she had approached, the only one who could do something to her was Miss Tang. Only Miss Tang had the ability to match Jiang Wenjing and Jiang Lin. Don't forget, it was Miss Tang who suggested that Jiang Wenjing do the matching. It was such a coincidence every time. It could only mean that the person who changed everything was most likely Miss Tang. Why did she have that dream? It was equivalent to replaying her entire life in her mind. Was it because of Miss Tang's special sleeping pills? Miss Tang must have realized that because of Jiang Wenjing's sacrifice for Jiang Lin, she was very grateful to Jiang Wenjing and doted on Jiang Lin, her younger sister. She must have thought that she was a little stupid. She didn't even know that she was almost sold. Chapter 38-33. That's why he gave her that incomparably precious pill, right? Yes, such a pill could remember a tragic life. How could it not be precious? System, you guessed wrong. This thing is rotten in the hands of the host. Brother Ziyun has helped make many versions and upgraded it several times. Jing Ainen thought that Miss Tang pretended not to know and did not intend to expose herself. Most likely, she thought she was too stupid and easily ruined things. Since Miss Tang pretended not to know anything, she could only cooperate. Miss Tang gave her the pill, which was enough. Next, she would leave it to her. She would make Jiang Wenjing live a life worse than death and take revenge for all of them. As for Miss Tang, Jing Ainen glanced at the handsome Dr. Yi. This doctor was good. If Miss Tang could like another man, of course, it would be good. How could Jiang Wenjing be worthy of such a good person? Matching Jiang Wenjing with a sow was an insult to the sow. It was too cruel to the sow. Miss Jing, no, it should be Mrs. Jiang. Tanggua smiled and nodded. Are you here for dinner today? Miss Tang, don't call me Mrs. Jiang. I prefer Miss Jing. It sounds younger. By the way, this is my friend Ming Huan. Jing Ainen introduced Ming Huan like this. After Ming Huan heard this, he was a little surprised. After all, whenever Jing Ainen met someone he was familiar with, he would tell them that this was Mr. Ming Huan and introduce him politely. From this introduction, Ming Huan understood that Jing Ainen treated Miss Tang differently. The two didn't seem to have a good relationship, but Jing Ainen seemed to trust Miss Tang very much. He had been abroad before, so he wasn't clear about the relationship here. However, he had heard that the Tang group had a Miss Tang, but he didn't know if it was her. Miss Tang, I've been busy with work before and didn't have time to treat you to a meal to thank you, Jing Ainen said. Since the last time I took the special sleeping pills from Miss Tang, I slept very well every day and didn't have insomnia anymore. And I also understand that even if I'm Mrs. Jiang, I can't stay at home every day. I still have something to do. I can see that you've changed a lot. You've lost a lot of weight and become more tanned, but you're more energetic. In short, your appearance hasn't decreased. Ming Huan muttered in his heart. She was still so good-looking. Her skin was slightly darker, but she looked healthier. In the past, it was as if a gust of wind could blow Jing Ainen away. Although the current Jing Ainen was thinner and her skin was not as white, he could feel that her entire body was filled with strength, so he would not always be worried. This kind of growth made him very happy. At the same time, he couldn't help but wonder what kind of hardships Jing Ainen had gone through in the past. He felt a little heartache. Sorry to disturb Miss Tang and Dr. Ye's date. Jing Anan added, you guys take your time. Minghuan and I will eat over there. Miss Tang, I'll treat you to a meal next time. As for other things, Jing Anan didn't intend to say anything more. Miss Tang didn't mention it, obviously she didn't want to talk about it. Then, she would proceed according to her original plan. Alright, it's getting late. You guys must be hungry. Let's eat first. Seeing Jing Anan in this state and eating alone with Minghuan, Tang Guo felt like eating a melon in her heart. Just as she had guessed, Jing Anan wanted to continue his relationship with Minghuan. According to what Jing Anan said just now, she would invite Minghuan to take over the Jiang group with her. This was really good news. She had to eat 2 more bowls of rice. Chapter 38-34. As Minghuan heard more news, he knew that Jing Anan was in a bad situation. But he would never have thought that Jiang Wenjing did not love Jing Anan, and that everything he did in Jing Anan's name was for another woman. Minghuan did not think of this, but he felt that Jing Anan was not doing well and wanted to help her. She was already married and they were not fated to be together. But in terms of business, he could still give Jing Anan some benefits. What made him happy was that Jing Anan did not refuse. But to be honest, Jing Anan was really good at business. As they worked together again and again, Minghuan felt that Jing Anan deserved it. Minghuan was the young master of the Ming family and also the heir of the Ming family. Of course, he would be present at some of the upper-class gatherings. This time, he experienced firsthand how the socialites and madams in this circle ostracized and neglected Jing Anan. Compared to Jiang Lin, who was more popular, Jing Anan's seat was more deserted. Jing Anan was now Mrs. Jiang. As the young master of the Ming family, he really could not go to Jing Anan's side at this time. Otherwise, who knew what kind of rumors those people would spread? Even though in his heart, he really hoped that the rumors that might spread would come true. He did not want to bring harm to Jing Anan because he could not control himself. According to Jing Anan's current business ability, she only had a little reputation in the company. She was in contact with quite a lot of people in the company, but many of the people in the company were not qualified to attend such gatherings. Therefore, it was normal for Jing Anan to continue to be neglected. Jing Anan did not want to be in the limelight at this time, in case Jiang Lin made trouble for her. This time, Tang Guo also came to this gathering. When Tang Guo came, Jiang Lin's limelight was basically gone. Countless socialites came to talk to Tang Guo. Tang Guo reluctantly said a few words and chatted with Jiang Lin, making people feel that she was more familiar with Jiang Lin. Tang Guo didn't go to Jing Anan, but when no one was paying attention, she nodded to him. At this time, she did not want Jing Anan to be in the limelight. Jing Anan breathed a sigh of relief. She was afraid that Miss Tang would come over to talk to her. At that time, those socialites would smell something terrible, which would affect her plan. Jiang Lin liked to see her being ignored and bullied, so she had to do what the other party wanted. Of course, all this was seen by Minghuan. He suddenly felt that it was very interesting. In fact, he felt that Jing Anan was hiding something from him. He really wanted to figure it out, but he didn't dare to ask her what was going on. In the end, after Tang Guo dealt with the socialites, she found a quiet place to sit down. Minghuan felt that the opportunity had come, so he took the wine glass and went over to talk to Tang Guo. When those people saw the two of them talking, they tactfully didn't come over to say anything. However, many people were whispering that Tang Guo did not seem to have that kind of interest in Jiang Wenjing now. Perhaps this young master of the Ming family, who had just returned to China, had a chance to attract her. After all, the two of them were quite compatible in terms of appearance and family background. Jiang Wenjing, who was talking to people from time to time, felt inexplicably uncomfortable when he saw all this. Of course, when Jiang Lin came to his side, he put this matter to the back of his mind. No matter what others were thinking, Ming Huan and Tang Guo had already started to talk. Chapter 38-35. Miss Tang seems to be more familiar with An. Not bad. Tang Guo glanced at Ming Huan and whispered, Master Ming seems to care about Miss Jing a lot. Ming Huan smiled calmly and nodded. Yes, but I seem to have missed it. There was some regret on his face. However, I feel that she is actually unhappy. I always feel that she has some secrets, but I don't dare to disturb her. Master Ming, why are you telling me this? Do you think that I know her secrets? Ming Huan said, I feel that An seems to trust Miss Tang a lot, and Miss Tang is the only woman here who doesn't exclude An and is full of kindness to her. I have been abroad all these years and don't know the situation here. I do want to know more from Miss Tang. What do you want to know? I want to know why An is unhappy. I think it's not just about the rich and powerful. Ming Huan whispered, also, I found that Jiang Wenjing doesn't seem to love An as much as I imagined. A man knows best how a man likes a woman. On the surface, it seems that he cares a little, but after thinking about it carefully, he doesn't care that much. Many people are saying that An married for love. Why don't I believe it? Did someone lie to me, or am I thinking too much? I don't know what Master Ming is asking about. Tang Guo took a sip of wine. However, no matter what the truth is, you need to identify it yourself. Wait patiently and stick to your own thoughts. Maybe one day you will know the truth. What's the point of thinking so much? Just stick to your heart. It seems so. Ming Huan smiled. Although I can't be with An, I can help her in other ways. I hope she needs it. Tang Guo didn't say anything. Ming Huan also didn't say anything. Jing An saw the two chatting and didn't think much of it. According to her understanding of Ming Huan, he was most likely worried about her. Forgive her, there were some things that couldn't be told to others. In fact, she didn't want Ming Huan to be involved. Host, Dr. Yi is here. The system's reminder attracted Tang Guo's attention. Sure enough, she saw a well-dressed person walk in from outside. He first stood at the door and searched for a while, then his gaze fell on Tang Guo. When he realized that Ming Huan was sitting beside Tang Guo, his expression changed slightly. He quickly walked over to Tang Guo. Miss Tang, Yi Lian shouted. I didn't expect you to be here. System, keep pretending. You only came because you knew that the host was here. You can't hide it anymore, can you? Young Master Ming, Yi Lian greeted Ming Huan again. Young Master Ming, don't you have a date? Then, he added, have you just returned to the country and haven't had the time to find one? Of course, Ming Huan understood the meaning behind Yi Lian's words. He picked up the wine glass and shifted his seat. Dr. Yi doesn't seem to have a female companion. Yi Lian's gaze fell on Tang Guo. He reached out his hand and made a gentlemanly gesture. May I have the honor of inviting Miss Tang to be my date tonight? When he walked in and saw Ming Huan sitting beside Tang Guo, Yi Lian panicked. That kind of desperation made him say something that he wouldn't normally say. The first time he met Ming Huan was when they were studying abroad. Ming Huan majored in economics while he majored in medicine. Chapter 38-36. It was because they had the same skin color, the same hair color, and the same language that they were speaking that they were able to get closer to each other. System, he's anxious, he's anxious. Yi Lian was still waiting. He was actually very nervous. Tang Guo observed him for a while. When she was about to say something, a scream came from the crowd. Then Jiang Wenjing's voice came, Lin Lin, what's wrong? Because of the noise, Yi Lian and Tang Guo were not in the mood. They were all attracted by the noise. Call the ambulance. Why is Miss Jiang in a coma? Could it be that something has happened? Miss Jiang's body doesn't look very good. Hearing this, Yi Lian couldn't hold back anymore. He said to Tang Guo, Miss Tang, I have to go and see her. No matter how annoying Jiang Lin was, he had to go and see a sick person. Besides, Jiang Lin used to be his patient. Could it be that there was something wrong with her liver? No, Jiang Lin had done a lot of follow-up checkups. It showed that her liver had recovered very well. Dr. Yi, you go and see her first. Seeing Yi Lian, Jiang Wenjing said anxiously, hurry up and take a look at Lin Lin. Yi Lian checked Jiang Lin's condition and suggested that they send her to the hospital immediately. The hospital was not too far from here. It was better not to wait for the ambulance. He didn't know how long it would take for the ambulance to arrive. Of course, Jiang Wenjing listened to the suggestion and quickly carried Jiang Lin out. Yi Lian followed behind. Jing Ainin also ran quickly behind Jiang Wenjing. His eyes were red and he couldn't stop crying. Tang Guo and Ming Huan, of course, were not left behind. Many people who had a good relationship with the Jiang family also followed. After all, it was such a big matter. How could they not go? In the hospital, there were countless people of status waiting for him. Especially the Jiang couple, they were worried. They even suspected that the last operation was not done well. Jiang Wenjing also thought so. Even though it had been more than a year since that incident, if it was really a problem, he wouldn't let Yi Lian go. Yi Lian was still saving the patient. He didn't know what the Jiang family was thinking. During the whole process, only Jing Ainin kept asking Jiang Wenjing if Jiang Lin would be okay. Tang Guo couldn't tell whether Jing Ainin was concerned about Jiang Lin's situation or had other intentions. When the result came out, the Jiang family and Jiang Wenjing were all stunned. Jiang Lin had kidney disease, and it was very serious. According to the current situation, she could choose conservative treatment. However, the effect might not be too good. In the end, there was a high chance that a new kidney would be needed. He said this to let the Jiang family be mentally prepared. If there was a need to change, someone would have to make a sacrifice. The Jiang couple subconsciously looked at Jiang Wenjing. The liver was a match, and there was a great chance that the kidney would be a match as well. So, if the conservative treatment was not performed well, their son might be stabbed again. No, absolutely not. It was one thing to cut out a part of the liver, but cutting out a kidney was absolutely impossible. Not to mention a man, if any person were to lose a kidney, the impact would definitely not be small. With only one kidney, not only would it affect his body, but he would also have to risk his life for half of his life. What if there was something wrong with Jiang Wenjing's other kidney? Who would replace him? Wouldn't that be waiting for death? Although they didn't want Jiang Lin to die, they knew very well who to care about between their biological son and their adopted daughter. Chapter 38-37. After receiving Jiang Lin's diagnosis, Jiang Wenjing subconsciously felt a little pain in his waist. He couldn't understand the various indicators and symbols on the professional diagnosis, but he could still understand the final result. Jiang Lin's problem was with her kidneys. Both kidneys had problems. He couldn't accept such a result. He understood what the doctor meant from his previous words. If the conservative treatment was not good, then Jiang Lin would face the necrosis of both kidneys. Her only chance of survival was to replace her kidneys. Furthermore, the longest duration of this period was less than half a year. "Doctor, I want to do a match first." When Jiang Wenjing was still in a daze and couldn't accept the fact in front of him, Jing Ainan's words pulled everyone back to reality. They all looked at Jing Ainan. Seeing that she made this choice without hesitation, they all understood how much Jing Ainan loved her sister Jiang Lin. Jing Ainan's words made the Jiang family, including Jiang Wenjing, feel a little relieved. If the liver didn't match, it didn't necessarily mean that the kidney didn't match, right? They were twins. What if it was possible? Therefore, no one stopped Jing Ainan. This time, Tangua didn't say anything. It had been so long. As the daughter of the Tang family, she should let go of Jiang Wenjing. There was no need to do something that would harm her health. Looking at Jing Ainan's back, the Jiang family thought of the liver replacement last time. Their relaxed hearts were slowly pressed down by a huge stone. They thought that it might match, but what if it didn't? Tangua didn't say anything at this time. She didn't need to do anything at all. All Jing Ainan needed to do was to pretend and do a match. As for whether Jiang Wenjing would be stabbed or not, it depended on how good Jiang Lin's means were. Now that everything had changed, Jiang Wenjing would definitely not be able to escape Jiang Lin's means. He would definitely take the initiative to be stabbed. Even though he was unwilling in his heart, he believed that his feelings for Jiang Lin were deep. He couldn't watch the pitiful Jiang Lin, who was devoted to him wholeheartedly, die. Especially at this time, Jiang Lin didn't care about status and was willing to be with him forever. Men, especially scumbags, couldn't escape the superficial affection of some women. Miss Jiang's life is full of misfortunes. How did he get such a disease at such a young age? The others had already started to discuss it, but no one wanted to do the matching. It would be fine if they weren't compatible, but once they were compatible, it wouldn't be right for them to cut it off or not to cut it off. The people at the party left one after another after greeting the Jiang family. Of course, everyone left some good wishes and said that they would visit again when they were free. Tangua waited until Jing Ainan came back. At that time, the Jiang family was still there. "Let me stay here today to take care of Lin Lin. I hope that under my care, Lin Lin can get better as soon as possible," Jing Ainan said. The Jiang couple couldn't stand this kind of blow. They were going to call Jiang Wenjing away and tell him that no matter what the final result was, he was not allowed to agree to give Jiang Lin a kidney. However, Jing Ainan spoke first and grabbed Jiang Wenjing's arm. "Ah, Zheng, let's go in and have a look. If Lin Lin wakes up later and asks about it, I don't know what to say to her. She's usually the closest to you, her brother. I hope you can persuade her to cooperate with the treatment and not let her imagination run wild. No matter what, we will accompany her and never give up on her." The Jiang couple watched Jing Ainan pull Jiang Wenjing in. Because Tangua and Ming Huan were still there, they didn't say anything. Chapter 38. Ming Huan and Tangua looked at each other. He finally knew what was wrong with Jing Ainan. She was like a completely different person in front of others and in front of Jiang Wenjing. What kind of person was Jing Ainan in front of him? She was graceful and spoke gently. She didn't have red eyes and couldn't help but cry. The gentleness in her eyes made him want to hug her many times. But in front of Jiang Wenjing, he felt different. Jing Ainan was like a headless fly. She didn't seem to know anything and had to rely on Jiang Wenjing for everything. She couldn't make her own decisions. This kind of Jing Ainan was real, but also unreal to him. This feeling made him feel strange, but he couldn't help but wonder what exactly Jing Ainan had experienced. Now that Jiang Lin was in trouble, Jing Ainan was upset, so he couldn't dig deeper. "Miss Tang, are you going back now, or?" As he spoke, Ming Huan glanced at the spot where Yi Lian had left. Yi Lian was very busy now. It was obvious that he could not leave the hospital. Being a doctor is like this. When you're busy, you don't even have time to send your girlfriend off. Who told you that I'm his girlfriend? Miss Tang, I'm just giving an example. Why did you rush to admit it? Ming Huan teased. I'm just joking. Actually, when Dr. Yi was in school, many girls failed to get close to him. He's a bookworm. This is the first time I've seen him take the initiative to invite someone to be his female companion, although tonight seemed to be a failure. But I can guarantee that this is the most initiative he's ever taken. Really? He's asked me out for lunch for more than a year. Seeing Ming Huan's incredulous look, Tang Guo continued, Dr. Yi is not only responsible for his duties, but he is also a kind-hearted person. Every time he has lunch, he will help the little girl downstairs buy all her flowers. He said that it's not suitable for a man to have flowers at home, so he gave them to me. Ming Huan was speechless. Miss Tang, is it really good for you to show off your love without giving him face? You know that I can't get what I want, but you still want to kill me. Let's go in and see how Jiang Lin is, Tang Guo suggested. I didn't expect her to be so sick. Yeah, I didn't expect her to get such a disease at such a young age. Ming Huan sighed. The thought of Jing Anan doing the matching made him very worried. He had already seen from the side that if Jiang Lin really needed a kidney transplant, no one in the Jiang family would be willing to take the risk. There was nothing to say about this matter. Whether he was willing or not, there was no way to condemn him. He was worried about Jing Anan, but he had no right to stop her. However, this was no small matter. It would definitely have a certain impact in the future. Furthermore, they were sisters. If something were to happen to her in the future, then Jiang Lin had already woken up. Knowing that she was sick, she hugged Jing Anan and cried. Lin, don't cry. I've already done the matching. We are twins. If our livers don't match, it doesn't mean that our kidneys don't match. Don't worry, I will never give up on you. I will always be by your side to take care of you. Jing Anan looked at Jiang Wenjing and said, and you, Sheng, he will always be by your side. We will not give up on you. You must be strong. Jiang Lin's heart was indeed on the verge of breaking down. It had not been easy for her to get a liver transplant. Why was there a problem with her kidney? As expected, God did not like her that much. When she heard that Jing Anan was going to do the matching, she was not touched at all, and she did not have any hope. She did not succeed last time, and the chances of success this time were not high. Jiang Wenjing. The most important thing was whether Jiang Wenjing was willing to save her. Jiang Lin cried like a tearful person on the surface, but in fact, she was thinking about how to make Jiang Wenjing give up one of his kidneys. Chapter 38-39. I'm probably going to die, right? Jiang Lin's tears immediately turned red. She hugged Jing Anan tightly. Why am I always dragging you guys down? Is God punishing me for my selfishness? Jing Anan could understand Jiang Lin's words, and so could Jiang Wenjing. Of course, Tang Guo, who knew the inside story, could still understand. She guessed that Jiang Lin said this mainly for Jiang Wenjing to hear. As for Ming Huan, he didn't understand. He didn't like Jiang Lin's personality and thought that it wasn't strange for her to say such discouraging words because she was sick now. He didn't see anything strange for the time being. Jing Anan felt that Jing Anan and her liver didn't match last time. This time, there was a high chance that the kidney wouldn't match. Even if Jing Anan was willing to contribute, she didn't need it. The Jiang couple had visited her earlier, and she had actually woken up. The two of them whispered a lot. Although they asked the doctor to try his best to treat her, the Jiang family didn't lack money. She could also tell that the Jiang couple wouldn't agree to Jiang Wenjing contributing a kidney to her. Kidneys were hard to find, regardless of whether they were rich or poor. It wasn't easy to find a suitable one. It could only be said that rich people didn't have to worry about the cost. As long as there was a suitable one, she would definitely have the priority. However, if she couldn't find a suitable one like last time, she could only wait for death. This time, her illness was fierce. The doctor said that the conservative treatment period was only about half a year. If she didn't get better during this period, they had to consider replacing her with a good one. The human body couldn't lack a kidney, otherwise she could only wait for death. Of course, Jiang Lin didn't want to die, so she could only coax Jiang Wenjing to agree to give her a kidney before that. As long as Jiang Wenjing agreed, even if the Jiang couple didn't want to, they couldn't stop him. Jiang Wenjing was a filial and rebellious person. Once he decided on something, the more the Jiang couple objected, the more he would insist. However, she couldn't say what she needed. She had to let Jiang Wenjing say it himself and be willing. Jiang Lin cried on the surface, but in her heart, she was planning one after another. She fell asleep crying in Jing Ainan's arms and didn't say anything to Jiang Wenjing for the time being. It was precisely this kind of behavior that made Jiang Wenjing more worried and more pitiful for Jiang Lin. If he didn't have a little bit of rationality, he might have said on the spot, Lin, don't worry. If the treatment really doesn't work, I'll give you a kidney. However, the influence of the kidney on a person was too great, so he forcefully swallowed his words. Seeing that Jiang Lin had fallen asleep, his brows did not loosen. When he came back to his senses, he felt that something was wrong because there were 3 pairs of eyes on him. Tanggua said at the right time, Jiang Lin is so pitiful. She had a liver problem last time. Fortunately, you are her brother. Otherwise, I don't know what would have happened. How long has it been? Why is there a problem with your kidney? Didn't you find it during the previous physical examination? After the operation, there were several checkups, but no one said anything wrong. Jing Ainan said while wiping his tears. His eyes were always on Jiang Wenjing. Finally, he sighed, I hope my type matches Lin's. If it doesn't match, I really don't know what to do. Lin is so young. How could she have such a disease? System, come on, this is the host Junior in the drama school, you're tuning into the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.